Have you ever had a bad night's sleep and then realized it was the full moon? Hello, my successful and healthy earthlings. Mihaela Ragush here, naturopath and founder of the Natural Health Podcast. In this episode today, you're going to learn how the full moon is affecting your sleep. I'm going to go through the full moon, the sleep and the full moon, the link, and then 3 hacks to optimize your sleep during a full moon cycle. Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast. We bring awareness of sustainable health in the business hustle space. Natural Health Podcast is perfect for the high-performing, business-minded individuals who want to work with their biochemistry to achieve optimal success and health. It's Mondays with Mihaela. That's right, me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Absolutely love, and appreciate your support. On Mondays, I'm here to provide you with simple, savvy, and sustainable health hacks to optimize your health. And while I have you, click the subscribe button and be notified when the next episode comes out. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the full moon and sleep. I bet you I am not the only one that's had a bad night's sleep, woke up, and that night looked at it and be like, wow, it was a full moon or it's going to be a full moon, because it affects our sleep. We know it affects our sleep. But today I'm going to talk about the scientific reasons, how it affects our sleep, and the research study that brought this podcast episode alive, right? We've heard crazy stories about how things get strange during a full moon, from increased rates to psychiatric hospitalizations to a higher risk of getting even bitten by an animal, right? However, findings from a study published January 27th, 2021, January this year, suggest that the lunar cycle does affect how you sleep. That's it. It's been researched, it's been done, and you felt it, and now the facts, the research shows it, right? Let's look into the full moon, right? We see the full moon, we think it's absolutely beautiful, but what is it, right? Our moon and the sun emanate frequencies of these energy waves, influences the earth tides and the water within our bodies, arousing emotions, behaviors, and our consciousness, right? A lot of individuals see the moon as a spiritual base. It's absolutely beautiful, represents the inner world, our inner being, our hidden emotions, our desires, our shadow selves, as once would say, our fears, worries, and our dreams, representing our feelings and our unconscious beliefs. The moon offers us the ability to feel, learn from the past, and create, unlock, and express our essence. I read this from a absolutely beautiful spiritual website, and this is absolutely amazing how we see the moon as that, right? We've got the moon and the sun, the yin and the yang, right? But it affects our sleep. This is the thing that we're going to be talking about. But the full moon, right? I had to look a bit more into this, because I thought the full moon is the end of a 29 day cycle, but the full moon actually marks the midpoint of our 28-day lunar cycle. How beautiful is that when you actually think about it? The full moon and the new moon, which makes total sense, is the new start, right? But during a full moon, the full moon sits opposite to the sun. So the sun's here, the full moon's here. It fully illuminates by the light of the sun. So the sun helps it. How beautiful is that? We could go in so deep with this. So hence the moon and the sun are opposite sides of the zodiac during a full moon, which can be from a challenging or intense aspect of energy, but also very potent potential of the lunar solar yin yang in natural balance, bringing us that balance, right? So this is kind of, now that I spoke a little bit about what the full moon is and so forth, what we need to understand is, before the availability of artificial light, yes, this thing right here on me, this artificial light, moonlight was the only source of light at nighttime activity, and it's still evident for the modulation of sleeping time by lunar phases is controversial, right? So this is it, that at nighttime we had absolutely no other light back in those days but the moon, right? When it's a full moon, that light is a lot bigger. Let's talk about sleep and the full moon. Such interesting. Absolutely love this topic. This is what I'm here to share with you. The timing and duration of sleep has changed dramatically through our human lives. Human beings have reduced vision capabilities in low light environments, and we are mostly diurnal, which is at night. We're not supposed to be functioning at night, right? And it's believed that nomadic groups timed their sleep onset to the time after dusk, when it became too dark to be safe hunting and gathering. The establishment of industrial societies with widespread availability of artificial light sources allowed humans to accommodate their sleep and wake patterns to modern society, demanding by creating a well-lit or darkened environment that isolated them considerably from natural cycles. So we have essentially pushed ourselves far apart from nature because we're not supposed to have light at night. But now we have lamps, we have lights. We all do. Everyone's got that in their house to keep us awake at night, to get us going through this modern society and kick our goals, I guess. Or we believe we're kicking goals and hustling at nighttime, but we're not. Anyway, these artificial light environments, which can acutely inhibit sleep, also train as a central clock in the brain that controls the timing of sleep, leading to a delayed onset of sleep and shortened nocturnal sleep bout. Essentially, this is saying that we're not sleeping well, full stop. You can use whatever sciencey words you can, but this nighttime light is ensuring that we are not sleeping as effectively and efficiently that we should be. So while the sun is the most important source of light and sets our circadian rhythm for almost all species, including us humans, which I blab on about all the time, moonlight also modulates nocturnal activity in some beings, right? Moonlight is so bright to the human eye that it's entirely reasonable to imagine that in the absence of other sources of light, this source of light could have had a role in modulating human nocturnal activity and sleep back in the days when we were gather hunters, when we didn't have these things, light, computer, and so forth. However, whether the moon cycle can modulate human nocturnal activity and sleep remains the matter of controversy. Oh, I love this. Some authors have argued against strong effects of moon phases on human behavior and biological rhythms, but recent studies, which I'm going to go into, have reported that human sleep and cortical activity under strictly controlled laboratory conditions are synced with lunar phases. So there we have it. You can look at it from the spiritual aspect, you can look at it from whatever aspect you want to look at it, but I'm here to talk to you about it in a scientific aspect, that the moon affects our sleep, right? So to examine the hypothesis that the lunar phase affects sleep, there was a study conducted, right? They looked at 3 Western Toba Qum, I think, communities of the Argentinian province of Formosa, right? These are once exclusively hunter-gatherers, geographically spread indigenous communities, share a recent history past and live under very different levels of urbanization. So these individuals live like back in the days, right? No light, no artificial light, and so forth, right? They tested the prediction of the communities without access of electricity and moonlight light would be associated with increased nocturnal activity and decreased sleep. They worked with these communities, which was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I would love to be part of this study, right? This is like amazing. This is so awesome. You get to work with these communities and see if the moon affects their sleep. Oh my gosh, like how awesome is that? That's not work. That's awesome. So essentially they've done this study already, and there was 3 things that they looked at, 3 different groups. One in an urban setting with full access to electricity, like my house, your house. And then group 2 and 3 were 2 rural communities, one with access to limited electricity light and one with no access to electricity light. So you have normal human, modern day, right? Then you have a rural community with limited access to electricity, and the other one a rural community with no access to electricity light at all. The results. This is amazing. All right, let's get into the results. Consistent with previous studies, shortened sleep duration and a delayed onset of sleep were associated with increased access to electrical light. Boom, there you have it. Let's go more into it, right? Both the duration and time of sleep onset showed a clear modulation throughout the moon cycle that was evident in the whole population as well as the individual communities. It affected everyone. The peak in sleep onset time and thought of sleep duration took place 3 to 5 days before the night of the full moon. So it's not just the full moon, it's before the full moon. So all those emotions and all that sleep and all those issues are actually also before the full moon. Times of sleep also suggested a negligible variation across the moon cycles. The individual phases of sleep duration and onset showed a consistent clustering of the thoughts of sleep duration and peaks of sleep onset on the days before the full moon. Changes in each participant's sleep duration across the lunar cycle range from 20 to more than 90 minutes. That is huge loss of sleep, right? That is extraordinary in one night. All three communities of the Toba Quam, including those in urbanized settings, showed a strong association of sleep timing with the moon cycle. To explore whether the similar modulation of sleep across the moon cycle occurred in people living in large modern urban environments like you and me. So let's go back to, so they had three groups that they looked at, and all three were in the communities of the Toba Quam, right? One had full electricity light, one had some and they were rural, and the other one was rural and had none, okay? And then they went, well, is it the same as you and me? Is it the same as our modern society? So then they analyzed sleep recordings from 464 University of Washington undergraduate students. We love using students, right? And unexpectedly, the changes in sleep duration and onset throughout the moon cycle resembled those of the Toba Quam people, with sleep events starting later and becoming shorter in the week before the moon. So you have it there. It affects the individuals in this Toba Quam people who have access, who are living non-rurally, who have access to electricity, and the ones who are living rurally have access to electricity, and the ones who are living totally rural are the same effects to university students in Washington. Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. Their results showed that sleep time is synchronized with the moon cycle and the range of living conditions. Toba Quam participants slept less and stayed up later on the days previous to full moon nights. When moonlight is available during the early night, the pattern could represent a response to the availability of moonlight during the first half of the night for communities with limited or no access to light. The multitude of the lunar phases effects of sleep parameters appears to be stronger to the more limited access of light. So it affects everyone, but in particularly affects the individuals who don't have access to light at night and any other stages, which makes sense, right? However, they were able to collaborate this modulation both in the Toba Quam community living with full access to electricity and in a sample of college students living in a modern city. Together, these results strongly suggest that human sleep is synchronized with lunar phases, regardless of ethnic and sociocultural backgrounds and a level of urbanization. There you have it, my people. Clear link that the full moon, just before the full moon, 3 to 5 days, affects our sleep. It does affect our sleep. You're not going crazy. It is true. So let's summarize from this study that I found out that was finished this year, January 2021. So the researchers collected sleep data for 1 to 2 lunar phases for about 75% of the Toba Quam participants. Researchers found participants in all three communities showed the same sleep patterns as the moon progressed through its 29.5 day cycle. On average, people went to bed later and slept less 3 to 5 days before the full moon. Then they analyzed sleep monitor data from 464 college students separate from the study and found exactly the same thing. So there you have it. The full moon affects your sleep dramatically. Some people 20 to 90 minutes, they get less sleep, they sleep later, it affects us. Look, this is a research study that shows that it could be due to our emotions, it could be due to the waves, it could be spiritually, it could be emotionally, it could be just the light exposure, it could be so many things because the full moon is so powerful. We underestimate nature, we underestimate the sun, the moon, what it's meant to do for us, right? Absolutely amazing. And then we can even go more and look into, well, why does that happen once a month? Why does that happen once a month? Are we meant to be doing something on that day? Are we supposed to stay up that day? Are we supposed to bathe ourselves in moonlight? Is this something that we're supposed to do? Is this some type of energy it's supposed to? Because I know a lot of individuals put their crystals out on a full moon, but are we supposed to go out? These are the questions that run through my head, and I hope they run through your head too. And if they do, let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are on this, because this stuff blows my mind. But I'm here to tell you with this research study that the full moon affects your sleep. But now let's look at 3 hacks to optimize your sleep. Right, I have so many episodes on the Natural Health Podcast that talk about sleep. Check them out on the Natural Health Podcast. Just go on the Natural Health Podcast and type in sleep, and so many episodes will come in. If any questions, let me know. 3 hacks. The first hack that I would say is dark room. 3 to 5 days prior to the full moon. Make sure where you sleep is dark room. You've got blackout curtains. There's no light coming in your room, and it is absolutely dark. And this, I would say, every day, not just 3 to 5 days for the full moon, but we're talking about the full moon, so there you have it. Second one is sleep same time every day. Have a consistency, because if you go to sleep all the time, every day, the same time, when the full moon comes, it's less likely to break it. If it's meant to break 90 minutes, it might only break 10 minutes, right? It might shift you 10 minutes. But if your body gets used to you doing 10 o'clock asleep, going to bed, 10:30 asleep every single day, that's a consistency there that you're building, and it's less likely to get broken. The third one that I always talk about, it's light exposure in the morning. As soon as you wake up, get outside, get that light on you, see that light. Don't stare at the sun. There's a reason why we blink. There's a reason why we can't stare at the sun. But when it is there, just allow that sun to penetrate through your eyelids, or so it comes on you, so you feel it. Absolutely amazing, because that will reset your circadian rhythm. It'll reset all the clocks in your body. Absolutely amazing. So there you have it. Now, we spoke about what the full moon is. We spoke about the study that proves that the full moon affects your sleep, and health hacks to optimize your sleep. What an absolutely amazing episode. I would highly suggest sharing this with someone that you know that talks about and goes, oh, it was a full moon, I didn't sleep well, or has any type of sleeping issues. Link it back to them. See if the full moon does affect their sleep, right? And remember, do what you do best. Love, like, share, comment, subscribe to the Natural Health Podcast so you get a reminder when a new episode comes out. A new episode comes out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, every single week. Bam, health information, bam, all that information out there for you. Thank you for joining us on the Natural Health Podcast. And remember, the missing link between failure and success is your health.